Good evening. I'm Pastor Kay Queen with Speed of Life Ministries. Today our lesson is the cry of the cross. The cry of the cross is to remember the cost and answer the call. We have seen movies that depict what Jesus went through, but do we really understand it? I mean, really understand the call the cross has on our lives. The cost of our salvation was so high that only Jesus' sacrifice on the cross could pay it. Colossians 2:11 through 15 says, and this is from the Message translation, entering into his fullness is not something you figure out or achieve. It's not a matter of being circumcised or keeping a long list of laws. No, you're already insiders. Not through some secretive initiation rite, but rather through what Christ has already gone through for you, destroying the power of sin. If it's an initiation ritual you're after, you've already been through it by submitting to baptism. Going under the water was a burial of your old life. Coming up out of it was a resurrection. God raising you from the dead as he did Christ. When you were stuck in your old sin-dead life, you were incapable of responding to God. God brought you alive right along with Christ. Think of it. All sins forgiven, the slate wiped clean, that old arrest record canceled and nailed to Christ's cross. He stripped all the spiritual tyrants in the universe of their shame, authority at the cross, and marched them naked through the streets. God forgave all our sins, destroyed the charges against us through the cross. The cross stands as a symbol of our sin and the price or cost that needed to be paid. 1 Peter 1:19 says, "But with the precious blood of Christ, a lamb without blemish or defect." That means Christ was perfect. He had no sin. He was not the same as you and I are today. Our salvation means God working to make the relationship between him and us right. Our new life, which we received when we asked Jesus into our lives, body and soul, all came at the cost of Jesus' blood. Him dying and bleeding from his wounds on the cross. Matthew 27:28-31. Read it yourself. This is a detailed picture of the cost Jesus paid to save us from our sins. In John 6:47, it says, "I tell you the truth, he who believes has everlasting life." Jesus came to earth with one single focus, one goal, and that was to go to the cross to give us everlasting life. Does that mean we will live forever? Well, yes and no. Our bodies will die, but our spirit will live forever with Jesus and God in heaven. Without Jesus, we would have nothing. The cross came with a cost, but it also came with a call. And being a Christian doesn't mean knowing Jesus died on the cross for us and keep on living our lives the way we want. Christianity is all about God and how we should live our lives so people see God in us. Answer the call. Mark 8:34-38 says, "Then he called the crowd to him along with his disciples," students of a teacher, and Jesus was the teacher, "and said, 'If anyone would come after me, he must deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whoever wants to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for me, for the gospel, for God, will save it.'" Jesus called us to deny ourselves, declare ourselves untrue, and take up our cross, our duty, our obligation, daily. Jesus is calling us to join him in the cost, to suffer by being mocked for being Christians, and to surrender ourselves to God's way. The source of our salvation includes a call to suffer and surrender. In dying on the cross, Jesus bids or asks us to come and die along with him, to give our lives to him. We tend to want to follow Jesus as long as we are comfortable and not made fun of. We have made God into our God, our servant. We tell God what we want, and he has to do what we want him to do. But it really doesn't work that way. The cross gave us such an incredible salvation, one that should leave us in awe and amazement of God, that we should be willing to lay down our lives, give up those worldly things, for the one who died for us, Jesus. Jesus didn't die to give us life on our terms. He died to save us from our sins, the ones we have done and will do in the future. We should be on our knees in surrender. It's prayer, praying to the life we really need, a life full of Christ, eating, drinking, and soaking in his every word. As long as you see the cross only for what it gives us and not what it cost us, we will always experience only a taste of the real life Jesus has for us. So ask yourself these questions. Have I really understood the pain, the sacrifice, and the cost of what Jesus went through on the cross? Have I really heard the call of the cross? Have I heard the call to join Jesus and surrender my very life to him? Communion celebrates what Jesus has done for us. So remember the cost. See the wonder and amazement of what God has done for each of us. Answer the call. Make today the day you totally give yourself to God. It was only after Isaiah saw God in all his holiness and glory could he say in full surrender, "Here I am. Send me." This is what we celebrate today, his blood poured out of his body, broken for each one of us. I encourage you to read 1 Corinthians 11:23 through 29. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to contact us. You can reach us through our website at www.speedoflifeministries.com. I hope you enjoyed this Bible study. I encourage you to study it and study the scriptures that I referred to, and have a blessed evening.